As we continue on Hannity, and we continue tonight with former Alaska Governor, Fox News contributor Sarah Palin. All right, so I want to go back to these comments that the Republicans didn't show courage, but they showed capitulation, that they need to fight. Governor, I know for a fact, there are sources I have, that there's a real divide within the caucus, and most Republicans seem to be coming down on the side that they can't be too contentious, can't battle too hard. And there's a lot of anger towards conservatives like myself, like you, like Rush, like Levin, Talk Radio, that we're saying, why didn't you guys fight here? Here's my next question. Next battle is going to be over the debt ceiling. And all indications I'm hearing is the leadership may not be ready to fight on this, and that even Tim Geithner said, no, they've gotten the okay that there's not going to be a big battle over this. What do you think the fallout and reaction will be if, in fact, they don't fight on that issue?
Well, if they don't fight on that issue, and if they don't fight going into the 2012 elections, we need to remember that losing is not an option, or our country will be owned by foreign countries, and we will be obviously less secure. We cannot afford to lose. We cannot afford to incur more debt. Debt is the foundation of destruction. Look what's happened over the years in Germany and Poland and Greece and so many of these other countries. We just need to look at what has happened to these other countries, learn their lessons, and not repeat it. Increasing debt in America will just put us on that road that those other countries were already on. No, we need to fight. We need to fight so hard going into 2012 to get somebody elected who has executive experience, who hasn't just been part of this herd mentality of trying to manage the public. The public doesn't need to be managed and controlled. We need freedom. The private sector needs freedom. So we can't start giving in on things like these budget deals and increasing the debt ceiling, and certainly not in these elections coming up.
You said to the GOP establishment, you sent a message, if you stand on your platform, if you stand on your pledge, we're going to stand with you. You said, we'll fight with you, we'll have your back, and together we all win because America wins.
Yeah.
You're talking about a very specific person. You've been kind of quiet on the issue of whether or not you're still thinking about contemplating a run for the presidency yourself. Where are you in your process?
Well, I think that it is still too early to declare candidacy. I think it's too early for anyone. Right now, my concentration is on getting that message out to the GOP leadership and to the other side, those who are reasonable and will listen, that we cannot keep going down the path that we're on. I am so encouraged, though, by, like, the Tea Party Americans. Let's go back to Trump. Look where he was last weekend. He was speaking at a Tea Party. That shows you that Tea Party Americans are influential, that they are big tent, and that they are independent. They want to hear from Trump. They want to hear from all who have common sense, pro-private sector, pro-business ideas, and the Tea Party movement is going to grow and strengthen.
Right,
and here,
but not to belabor the point, Governor, a lot of the other candidates have now formed exploratory committees in anticipation of a run. Exploratory committee soon?
You know, that isn't even on the radar, that type of step yet, because I do think that even that is early. And, you know, I've never really run for anything conventionally over the last couple of decades, be it city council or conference of mayor presidency or mayor or city manager, governor, anything like that. I've just jumped in there and done it when I've known that it's the right thing to do. So it's going to be an unconventional run if I so chose to do that.
You also, in fairness, you had very harsh, very strong words for President Obama on a whole variety of issues, not the least of which is that he didn't fulfill most of the promises that he has made. He even said at one point, win the future, when you said WTF is about right, which was a pretty funny line. But then you went through how he's ignored the debt, ignored the deficit spending, rammed through Obamacare, et cetera, et cetera. In that sense, who do you think, when you look at these candidates, who jumps out at you as somebody, if you don't get in, that you could wholeheartedly support and that you think could win this future that you're talking about?
No one yet. I want to keep hearing their ideas. I want to know of their experience, their executive experience. I want to know of their record in office and in the private sector, to know that they have a foundation that can be built upon in that presidency. But no, I did call President Obama out for his lies. Sean, he told us that he would cut the deficit in half, and yet he tripled it. He told us that he would be fiscally responsible, and yet he crammed down a nearly $1 trillion useless stimulus package that didn't stimulate anything except more debt and, as I said over the weekend, wonderful Tea Party movement. No,
Yeah.
he has lied to the American public, and we're saying enough is enough, and that's why we want to fight. That's why we want to encourage those with that common sense, that love for country, that conscientious and very, very real and genuine concern for where we are headed, for what we are doing to our children and our grandchildren's opportunities. We want to be unified, and we want to go forth in a fight, if we must, against the liberal left who just doesn't get it, or if they get it, they're doing this on purpose, trying to destroy too many good things about our country.
I agree. I think the time to fight is now. I hope people, Republicans, conservatives, Tea Party members, I know the Tea Party's there, are on your side. By the way, Governor, I got to give you credit here. You have the most interesting backgrounds. One time we had a plane taken off in your backyard. You got somebody playing behind you over there. And I will tell you, I think you have the best backgrounds of any guest we have. We appreciate you being with us.
Hey, thank you so much. And it's about 60 degrees warmer than it is in Wasilla, where I am today. So this is heaven. All right,
Governor Palin, thanks for being with us. And also coming up tonight, Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann here in studio with a special message for President Obama and how he can put this birth certificate debate to rest once and for all. First, the president is caught on tape scolding a local Dallas TV reporter. Wow, pretty amazing tape. We've got that. Stuart and Dana and much more coming up next. And it is a new low point for President Obama. Now, according to a Washington Post ABC News poll released today, just 47% of Americans approve of the job that he's doing. Now, that's compared to 51% about a month ago. And now it looks like the president is on the defensive. Now, yesterday, the anointed one got a little bit testy in an interview with a local reporter from WFAA in Dallas, Texas. Now, it all started when the reporter dared to correct the president when he mischaracterized the margin by which he lost the state of Texas in the 2008 election, saying it was, quote, a few percentage point. Well, it was actually 10 points. Here's what happened after that.
You going to campaign in Texas for re-election, or is the state written off?
I never write off any states.
You're not going to write off?
I never write off states, and I love Texas.
After the interview, Mr. Obama pointed out that he doesn't like an interviewer challenging his comments.
And let me finish my answers next time we do an interview. All right.
Wow. Joining me now with reaction, former White House press secretary, Fox News contributor Dana Perino, the host of Varney and Company, the Fox Business Network, Stuart Varney. That was a pretty telling moment, Dana. What do you think that? How do you interpret that?
These are little glimpses into somebody's soul, and you can. You wish President Obama would take the advice, never let him see you sweat, and kill him with kindness.
Yeah, let me finish my answers next time.
Are not easy.
Let me finish my answer.
Right. I mean, it's actually the person you actually yell at when you're president of the United States, when you're mad about an interview, is not the journalist. You yell at the staff. Not that I ever got yelled at by President Bush, but it was a telling moment. Look, local media interviews are not necessarily easy interviews. When he's at a press conference, it's one question, pretty scripted, maybe one follow-up. He always gets the last word. At speeches, it's only him. At rallies, everyone's his fans. When he is pressed, he definitely shows a prickly side. And Yahoo News today called him snippy. And believe me, men don't like to be called snippy.
I've been called a lot of things, Dana. Snippy's not one of them. But when he said, let me finish my answers next time, this is why Obama won't come on this program, Stuart.
He was trying to run out the clock, wasn't he?
Well, I think if President Obama had any courage, he'd come on a program where I have some legitimate questions. He wouldn't dare come on this program.
I think the president is angry.
I do, too.
He's being attacked. He sees the core philosophy, wealth redistribution, really under serious attack. And now he's been called to account, not by the Republicans, not by the voters yet, but by S&P. S&P has said, wait a minute, Mr. President, watch out, you're spending too much, you're too deeply in debt, and America actually has been embarrassed by this credit rating outlook going negative.
There's a greater than 33% chance that that our debt is such a big problem. And they were very specific. They said it was about the debt. And they didn't have confidence that in America's ability to get it done. Now, this is the first time this has happened since December 7th, 1941, which is a
Pearl Harbor Day, as I recall. Yes.
Okay. Now, my question to you is, why did they went on the attack against the S&P today? Did you see Geithner? Did you see all these?
Yes. They're saying that the S&P statement was politically timed. Maybe it was. last Wednesday we saw the president kind of lashing out in a campaign speech, getting nasty with the Republicans and saying, tax the rich. Over the weekend, Treasury Secretary Geithner said, you can have it all, just tax the rich. Then S&P comes along and says, wait a minute, that won't work. Taxing the rich will not work. You're in a debt mess. We have the worst deficit of any industrialized liberal democracy, except Japan. We are the worst. We've been embarrassed by this.
Yeah. What did you think of that, Dana? What did you think of the S&P? And what did you think of the lashing out? I mean, this seems to be the M.O. They lash out at Fox, Talk Radio, me, Karl Rove, anybody they disagree with. But the S&P? I found that strategy.
They always have to have They always have to have an opponent. The S&P is kind of an odd one to pick. And in some ways, what you would have liked to have seen from a strategy standpoint, if you're inside the White House, is let's not take them on. Let's use this as a moment to press our point that we need to make sure that we don't fail on raising the debt limit. Right? Yeah. They could have flipped this around and used it to their advantage. Instead, they just fight all the time, and it's one, unbecoming. I also think it's embarrassing. It's also contributing to these low poll numbers, some of the lowest of his presidency. And all of a sudden, if you're campaigning, kicking it off really at the end of March 2011, you got a long way to go before the fall of 2012. And you're going to just irritate people if you're this angry all the time. They should try to use some of these things to their advantage, and they just don't.
Let me ask you about this speech. We just had Governor Palin on, and she had very strong words, not only for Obama, and she hit him really hard in this speech, but she also said to the GOP, this isn't courage, this deal that they made. This is capitulation. And she said it's time for people the GOP to stand up and fight. We'll have your back if you do it. Learn to fight. She went as far as to say, learn to fight like a girl. I mean, I got to tell you something, Dana. I can't tell you how many people are emailing me that they fear the Republicans do not have the stomach for this battle on the 2011 budget, the debt ceiling, and the 2012 budget.
I actually think what happened on the CR has, it bruised Boehner a little bit, but he came out of it. What was interesting is that only 4 Republicans dissented on the most important vote, which is the 2012 budget. And I think that in some way, this show of unity, the emails that you're getting, they're getting them too. And they've heard the message loud and clear, and they're going to be under tremendous pressure to do something about the debt limit. And I guess we're going to have this summit on May 5th that Vice President Biden will host. Well, you know, they don't need summits. They just need to meet and get it done. But Boehner, you're right. He's under pressure to hold very strong and to hold that party together.
This credit warning, Dana, has given the Republicans enormous leverage. They now have clout.
Yep.
Because an outside party is saying, hey, you, America, you are in serious trouble, and you must act quickly because you're heading towards a debt cliff. That gives the Republicans enormous leverage to push the point. The only way out of this mess is to cut spending. Forget taxation, cut spending. And that's what the president is most unwilling to do. Above all else, he does not want to cut spending. This gives the Republicans leverage right now.
All the leverage they need. And Obama himself voted not to raise the debt ceiling in 2006.
Yep, and said it was a wrong vote now.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean,
no, he used that vote to try to show that he had some sort of fiscal credibility and to politically go after George Bush, calling it a failure of leadership.
All right.
That's what that was about.
All right, so that gives the Republicans cover now. They can now use the exact quote and throw it right back in his face.
It's not that you should do something based on political expediency, but sure, why shouldn't the Republicans turn about as fair play?
Listen,
they could do it too.
I will give Obama credit. He was right in 2006. All right, guys, good to see you. Donald Trump is making a lot of noise about President Obama's birth certificate, but he is not the only one. Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann is here to explain why the president should just hand it over. And story's done. Much more Hannity straight ahead.